times are a-changing, as they say, and you know, one of the dilemmas you have at an agency like EPA, which is essentially created to implement specific laws that Congress passed, is that new problems come, new technologies come, and those laws were passed to deal with technologies that existed when those laws were passed, and many of them were passed in the 1970s. So that had a profound effect on how do we adjust the implementation and the interpretation of some of these laws to get them to function on these emerging issues.
Well, I deployed in January of 2005, and we came through Kuwait and spent a couple of weeks in Kuwait, and then we crossed the berm, as they call it, and got on we call it the highway of death. It's all of Saddam's vehicle, all his armor, and that we had bombed for years. But old Bush Senior and Clinton administration. I mean, there's highway of vehicles just blown up by, you know, bombs from aircraft.
We just worked our way across Alaska. We ended up in what's now Denali National Park, one of the most beautiful places on the continent. And I washed dishes. Another one of my friends, two of my other friends waited tables. So, you know, it was just one of those great summer adventures.
It's been a good balance, I think. And the simple fact that music, especially jazz, when it has that message of goodwill, you know, we're coming with goodwill, you know, not too much controversy and all that, you know. When it comes with that message, it just spreads. And I remember when I first came to the US and we used to play at a lot of these, what were jazz associations around the USA. It was just because there was one or two people in that area that just had a deep love for the music and what it does.
Well, when I went over with the other Rhodes Scholars on the Queen Elizabeth, it was my first trip abroad. And I must say from that point on, it was a mind-boggling experience, a discovery of how big the world is, how diverse the populations of the world, how many dangers there were for the United States that I was unaware of as a young student back at Denison University in Granville, Ohio. But it's made a huge difference in my life, not only to have this opportunity to be with the Rhodes Scholars, but to get to know people in Pembroke College, Oxford, where I studied.
A lot of times, you know, we'll run 4 pads on the AM bank. It's the mega bank that's most of our difficult task here, because we have a much larger operation to plan for. So through the events of planning and making sure that we get all the staff together, you know, we just take pride into getting that done.
Quite literally the design of services. Where that gets complicated, I believe, is services are these intangible experiences that are co-delivered by both maybe a federal agency or whoever's providing that service, and the end user or customer that's receiving that service. And that experience, a lot of times we talk about designing it, but in reality it's created by these two sides coming together. And how do we begin to understand what are the needs to make that experience delightful?
It was very fun because I kind of grew up, you know, in a religious background and didn't get to have much fun. So getting away from home for the first time and having 50,000 other students around you and things like that, it was interesting to be away from home, and I had a good experience.
So what sort of things would you and your friends do on the weekend?
I mean, there was, you know, good bar life there, stuff like that. I did spend a lot of time studying because I was pretty serious about going to medical school at the time, so I was fairly studious while I was there, but we had our good fun in the meantime.
I was amazed by how much support there was and how much there was. It was almost like a well-oiled machine to help families through what is an extremely difficult time. And just seeing the equipment that they had, the developments and technologies that they used, and just the medical expertise, it blew me away. I remember every day I told Tom, like, I'm falling in love with my baby, but I'm in love with the nurse, I'm in love with the doctor, I'm in love with everyone, because they just, I mean, even today, I'll never forget them, because it was such an imprint of, wow, you are saving our son's life.
President Trump, thank you for agreeing to stop illegal immigration and restore the rule of law. That's good news for us and the citizens we serve. We're America's sheriffs, and we see firsthand the cost and tragic consequences of illegal immigration. By securing our borders and enforcing immigration laws, we can make our cities safe again. That's part of making America great again.
Matt, I spent plenty of time with the Washington Redskins this past week, and I can tell you there is a surge in confidence and positivity after Washington was able to get that win in Seattle last week with an offensive line that was unrecognizable due to multiple injuries. But some good news here. A lot of those offensive linemen back in the starting lineup. The big question mark, will left tackle Trent Williams play? He was at practice this past week, something Jay Gruden was excited about. He went right up to him, gave him a high five. Obviously, this offensive